mynews.studio.
There's been a surge of signatures at the UN Ocean Conference, bringing us right to the edge of the first global law to protect the open ocean. The big question, will 60 countries step up before time runs out?
Today is June 19th, 2025. Let's break it down. After 2 decades of negotiation, the High Seas Treaty is just about ready to become binding international law. Only 11 more countries need to ratify it. Why is this such a pivotal moment?
The high seas make up nearly half of Earth's surface, yet less than 1% is protected right now. These are areas outside any one country's control, almost like an ungoverned wilderness. The treaty would change that by creating the first legally binding framework to safeguard biodiversity and regulate things like deep-sea mining and fishing. It's a real turning point.
Right, but it's taken 20 years to get here. That's a long time. Why has it dragged on for so long?
Well, it's complex. Countries have different priorities: economic, political, even practical ones. Some are worried about losing access to valuable fisheries or future mining opportunities. For others, especially lower-income nations, the challenge is having the resources to actually enforce the rules. Support from groups like the EU is key.
The EU's involvement stands out. They've ratified the treaty, pledged €40 million to help countries in Africa, the Caribbean, and the Pacific, and the European Commission just announced €1 billion investment in ocean conservation. Is that kind of backing enough to sway the holdouts?
It's a significant push. Financial and technical support can help countries overcome the big hurdles: cost, capacity, expertise. Plus, there's diplomatic pressure and on-the-ground work from NGOs and coalitions trying to secure those last ratifications before the next UN Ocean Conference.
Enforcement is always the sticking point. Once the treaty takes effect, how do we actually police the high seas?
The treaty sets up what's called a Conference of the Parties, or COP, to oversee how it's put into action and review compliance. Environmental impact assessments become mandatory for any major activity in international waters. There's also a requirement for transparent reporting and sharing of data. Actual enforcement? That'll rely on flag states and international cooperation. Think satellite monitoring, joint patrols.
Wait, so when you say flag states, you mean the country where a ship is registered has to take responsibility?
Exactly. If a vessel is flying a nation's flag, that country is responsible for making sure it follows the rules. But international teamwork is still crucial. No one country can do this alone.
And what's the timeline? Once those 60 ratifications come through, what happens next?
After the 60th ratification, the treaty takes effect in 120 days. That unlocks the possibility to establish marine protected areas, aiming to conserve at least 30% of the world's oceans by 2030. It's a huge jump from where we are now. Plus, it sets a new standard for managing shared global resources.
And it's not just about conservation. The treaty's got implications for climate regulation, global food security, and the livelihoods of billions. But what about major industries like fishing, shipping, deep-sea mining? How are they expected to adapt?
Fishing will likely see new restrictions and more protected areas, so sustainable practices are going to matter more. Shipping might have to adjust routes, though the treaty doesn't directly target shipping lanes. For deep-sea mining, environmental checks will get stricter. Importantly, the treaty includes help for technology transfer and capacity building so businesses and communities can make the transition.
And for the Global South, there's a justice angle here, isn't there? This isn't just about ecosystems. It's about making sure the benefits and responsibilities are shared more fairly.
That's right. For many countries, the high seas are seen as a common heritage, not just a resource for the richest nations. This treaty is a move towards sharing both the benefits and the responsibilities.
So as we wait for those last signatures, it's clear this treaty is about much more than paperwork. It's really a test of global cooperation, and maybe a chance to rethink how we interact with the ocean.
If this push succeeds, It could reshape how we manage the planet's biggest ecosystem, with real consequences for biodiversity, climate, and billions of people. The stakes are high.
That's the rundown. Decades of negotiation, a final dash for signatures, and a vision for a more balanced relationship with the ocean.
Thanks for joining us. We'll be watching to see if this treaty makes it across the finish line and what it means for life on Earth.
Thank you for listening. This episode was brought to you by mynews.studio. Try it now for free.